Yeah. Hi, everybody. We are in live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Art Lexcia podcast. This is episode 189. And yeah, welcome to all new and returning listeners. And I keep forgetting to mention this in every episode, but if you're new to this channel and you haven't already, smash that like and subscribe button. Yeah, I appreciate it. Hardly ever mention that anyway. I always get tongue-tied in starting an episode. But anyway, today we're talking everything music, which is really cool, and more on a global music, if there's, and that's a very loose term for the genre, but maybe we'll get into that a bit later. But we're talking to Carlo Mombelli, Mombelli, pardon me, who is a bassist and a Wits professor. And we're talking about the show Music Legends at the Wits Theatre, which will be this coming Saturday, which will be the 11th and the 12th of July. But we'll get into all the specs around that with Carlo. So first and foremost, my brother, good morning. Welcome to the Art Lexia podcast.
Yeah, good morning, Wesley. Yeah, nice to be here.
Okay, cool, man. Carlo, can you just give us an overview of the festival, please, man? So I see it's a collaboration between some musicians based in Switzerland and here in South Africa. So can you just give us an overview and tell us what the concert is about, and then we'll break it down bit by bit after that.
Okay, you seem to be cutting out a bit here. But I just didn't hear that last thing. So what are you talking about the gig in the Wits Theatre? Which gig are you talking about, Wesley?
No, man. About the whole festival, can you just give us a breakdown of the whole festival? I know it's a collaboration between musicians from Switzerland and South Africa. So you could just give us a breakdown on the entire festival, on the two shows.
Okay, so
yeah, the one on Friday and the one on Saturday.
All right, so this is a Pearl Vischer set this up. So on Friday, we've got Vumelevin and the guitarist Theo Duboulay from Switzerland, and they've collaborated together, bringing both. So they've each brought compositions, and they've got from Switzerland Matthias Spielmann on trumpet, from Italy Marco Zanini, and Martin Perret from drums, playing drums from Switzerland. And then we've got our own Gonse Makena, the great percussionist. And so the music is sort of like it's a modern jazz fusion of South African cultures, their cultures. And I saw the concert in Grahamstown, and it was quite amazing. Beautiful music, and that's happening on this Friday in the Seabrooke. And let's just see what the time is on that concert. I think it's at 7:30 as well.
7 o'clock.
So then on the Saturday, on Saturday, yeah, are you there, Wesley? Wesley, can you hear me? Okay, so on the Saturday, also another Pearl Vischer event, something that we've been working on for a while now, which started off pre-COVID actually, and then COVID put a hold on everything. So that's my concert, and it's my concert and Zigby Kutura. And as Zigby Kutura is a classical musician. He played in Switzerland in the Basel Orchestra for like 50 years, playing avant-garde classical music, and he's been collecting gongs and instruments from Bali and writing really avant-garde classical music. And we played with Karl-Heinz Stockhausen, the great Karl-Heinz Stockhausen. That's the beginning of avant-garde classical music, and also with Boulez, Georg Ligeti, all these most incredible names in the classical scene. So He's been around the block, if you have to put it like that. He heard my music, and he came on a residency in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
It was 2017. No, a little bit late. It was before COVID, so probably 2019. He came on a residency. I was his coach around Johannesburg. He went back to Switzerland. He heard my music. He said, is it possible that we can do a collaboration? So he's actually approached Pearl Vischer about taking my music and imposing it on top of his avant-garde music. My music is very melodic in a way. It is cutting edge. I play on the edge of wrong the way that I play. So what we have done is we've created he's brought another classical percussionist with him from Switzerland that plays in the orchestra there. They play the classical gongs, all the little chimes. That's all written music. So they've composed all this music, and on top of that, I'm coming with 3 improvisers, myself, Spalelo Masubuko on drums, and Marcus Wyatt on trumpet. So really, 3 really interesting improvisers. So and they'll be playing my music on top of their music. And not only that, we combined that they will be playing on top of, playing inside Siegfried's music. So it's very unique. It's something that I've never done before, and something that I don't think people have heard before. We've got something that's quite different. And so Vuma and them played in Grahamstown. It was a fabulous concert. We played in Grahamstown, and I must say it was quite different, quite unique. We played in Cape Town. We just came back. We played there on Saturday evening at the Homecoming Centre, Star Theatre. It was a packed audience and a fabulous concert. People were saying they'd never heard anything like this before, and they were really moved and really touched. So this is a once-off event. It's happening this weekend. It's not going to happen again for a long, long time. So if you get down there, both concerts are only 180 Rand.
Yeah.
And it's in the beautiful Seabrooke Concert Hall here at Wits University. There's safe parking, and I think it's something really. It's going to be an interesting weekend for us here.
For sure, man. Carlo, you were telling me about your music, making it different. Could you explain a little bit to my listeners that's not familiar with your music, like what genres of music do you use in your? I mean, I know you're a bassist, but you just, in layman's terms, explain to me or to my listeners a little bit about your music, what type of sound and so forth.
I am a bass player, Wesley, but Sorry, Wesley?
Yeah, I'm still here. No, please continue.
Okay. So Wesley, I am a composer first, and a bass player second. I use the bass to paint my pictures. I use my bass to compose my music on. I also play piano, so sometimes pieces come out of that. But why I feel the way that I play is very different is the fact that I've never had a bass lesson ever in my life. I'm completely self-taught.
Self-trained.
And
self-taught.
I listened to a lot of different music that's influenced my music. So I feel that I am not a jazz musician. I feel that I'm genreless in that aspect. I think my genre is Carlo Mombelli. I have learned my music from my compositions. I learned my music from going into the forest at Pretoria Boys. I started playing when I was 16, when I was at Pretoria Boys High, and I used to go into nature at the break times. I would listen how the wind had an effect on the volume, on the sound of the leaves, what I learned about silence and what density was. I learned about natural reverb in nature. I learned about how insects and birds create looping, and they create these incredible melodies, but it's not tonal. It was all atonal, but still at the same time they
Sure.
created this incredible beauty. Nature's not commercial. If I put it that way,
Yeah.
for example, that
Yeah.
could be something that you hear. And if you hear it, a lot of people, when they hear it in music, they say, "Oh, that's nonsense." But when they listen, go into nature, and hear exactly the same thing, they say, "Wow, that's beautiful."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've always known that, and I've tried to bring that always into the way that I play bass. Um, I play differently in a way because I practiced many hours when I was living in Yeovil back in the 80s, 12 hours every day until my hand seized up and I couldn't move my hand. But from hours of practicing there, I had an operation on my right hand. They put my hand in a splint, but then they forgot to cover my thumb. So I started practicing with my thumb, and
Okay.
that developed a whole way for me to create. I started playing in a different way, just using my thumb and hammer on and lift off on the left hand. I sort of I can play the bass using just one hand without using the right hand from those days when my hand was in a splint, and I just, when my hand came out of the splint, I just continued playing like that. So I just found a way of playing the bass, and I think which I found my
That makes
voice on,
yeah.
and my compositions come out of the way
Yeah.
that I play. And because my compositions develop in a certain way, then I develop my bass playing to play the compositions. And then so my compositions are developing and my bass playing is developing at the same time because they are so interconnected.
Yeah. Wow.
Does that make any
Thanks for
sense to
sharing.
you, Wesley?
It makes 100% sense. It makes
Mm,
100% sense. In fact, like we'd like to talk, I like to talk about
mm.
processes on the platform. Carlo, I have a sort of follow-up question on that, man. And this is for me really. What's the difference? Because I assume you're playing the bass guitar, right? But what's the difference between a bass guitar and an upright bass? Did you
All
get that
right. So, well,
question?
the upright bass is an octave deeper. Yeah. The double bass, as the word implies, double bass or contrabass, but the double bass is an octave deeper in a way. It has a bigger rounder tone, and of
Mm.
course it's a, um, a fretless sound. So it has more. You can really dig in with a double bass, but and the electric bass is a smaller instrument. It's very, very soft, so you need to put a pickup on it.
Okay.
I do play double bass, but I haven't found my voice on it, so
Okay.
I don't play it in public, but I play at home
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
enjoy it. But my electric bass, I see it as an acoustic instrument. It has overtones. It goes out of tune. Certain different strings affect the sound. Different woods affect the sound. It's just a softer instrument. You have to put a pickup on. So I treat my electric bass as an acoustic instrument. The way that I play it, I see it as that. I have to try play with vibrato, just like on the double bass. But there's a big difference. On the double bass, you can use a bow and you can bow the notes so you can get long, beautiful tones. And I absolutely love the double
Sure.
bass. It's one of my favorite
Sure.
instruments. And when I finish at Wits end of this year, I'm going to take it quite seriously because then I'll have time to really practice again. Because I can tell you now, being HOD of the music department is a lot of stuff. There's a lot
Yeah. A lot of
going
admin
on
and stuff.
every
Yeah.
day in my
Yeah.
life. So
Yeah. Yeah. I get
your
it.
admin. So the only time I really get to play, and that is when I get up at 5 in the morning. I can put an hour and a half
Yeah.
in before I start my day. every day. So I've been playing for 45 years now, but I'm
Yeah.
still practicing every day, just to try
Fantastic. I
and
love it.
develop and to look for compositions.
Another follow-up question before we get to the gig over the weekend. You mentioned earlier that you're a composer and a musician. Can you just explain to us again the difference, man? Because in order to create new music, I don't know, does the compose does the do you need to compose the sound first, or do you freestyle it first, or just yeah? Can you just explain to me the process behind that? The difference between composing and actually just playing?
Okay, so composition. All right, so there's many ways of composing music. Some people use it in approach it in a very academic way. They've learnt formulas and they use formulas to compose music. Others have learnt orchestration, so they know orchestration is fantastic to know that if you put a flute on the top and you put a bass clarinet there, you get a certain tone, a certain sound.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of composers sit at the piano and they play one note and they play another note and they try and hear where the composition needs to go from there. Others, like myself, maybe practicing and improvising at home. I sit and I'm practicing something, and then I go into some improvisation, which turns out to develop into a composition. So a composition can come from an improvisation. If you don't sit down and do it, you're not going to come up with something.
Sure, sure.
Also, a lot of times, composers will hear something like you can dream a composition. You wake up in the middle of the night and you sing it on your phone so that you don't forget it. So a
Sure.
lot of compositions have come to me. That's something you can't teach. How do you teach composition
Sure.
when you just hear it in your head? That's a natural
Sure.
gift. All right. Now, composition for me
Sure.
is a little bit higher art than the performance, because if my favorite artists like a Radiohead or Miles Davis come up with an album and they play absolutely fantastic, but I do not like the composition, I don't like the songs, doesn't matter how good they play or how good they sing, I'm not going to buy it. People buy music first for the composition, for the
Interesting.
songs, and then for the great way that they are played. And there's some great jazz
Interesting.
musicians like John Coltrane who's improvised an entire album,
Yeah.
and it's so
Yeah.
good because the actual way that he improvised is a composition in itself. So
Yeah.
people always first are drawn to composition, and like I've mentioned before in many articles, people don't remember Beethoven because he was such a good pianist. They remember Beethoven because of his compositions. People
Composition.
remember
Interesting.
you because of your compositions, because the compositions are super important.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
I see
Super.
myself as a composer first, and then an instrumentalist.
One last question on that. Do you work on your
Does that
own
answer
if
the
you come up
question?
with these compositions? It does. It does. Thank you. Thank you for that. Do you work mostly on your own, or do you collaborate in coming up with compositions?
Okay, I'm
Uh,
not
did you?
hearing you now. You're breaking up.
Uh, sorry. In composing music, do you mostly work on your own, or do you feel you work better as collaborating with other musicians? You didn't get that?
Okay, I got a little bit of that, but you're asking me, do I collaborate with other musicians?
No, no. Well, I'm asking when composing music, right? Does it work better when you are collaborating with somebody, or do you feel you work better on your own?
Yeah, it's mainly on my own. My compositions usually come out. I'm not a really good collaborator. I must be quite honest with you, but this project that we're doing on Saturday is a major collaboration. But it's a composition that Siegfried did on his own. It's compositions that I did on my own, and we tried to find which compositions actually work together, and then we took them and we created like a big jigsaw puzzle. We put these things to make one canvas. So my concert on Saturday is going to be, it's one composition that lasts for about 70 minutes.
Okay, I was actually going to ask that
If I
about.
am going to collaborate, it's probably going to be with someone that is writing lyrics.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
for some of my music, yeah.
All right, man. Okay, thanks for that. Thanks for that. That was actually brilliant. I loved it. Okay, so that's the gig on Friday. So tell us about the Gong Project,
Now that one's on
which is
Saturday.
Saturday on the 12th.
The Gong.
Yeah.
Well, I've just been speaking about the Gong Project. That the Gong Project
Oh,
is on
oh,
Saturday.
and the show on Friday.
The show on
And the show on
Friday
Friday.
is Vuma Levine, the guitarist, and he's collaborated with a Swiss guitarist, um, Theo Dubule. Theo Tubule, but I saw the concert, so they've also collaborated their composition, so they will play a composition of Vuma Levine. Vuma Levine is an amazing South African composer, and he also teaches guitar here at Wits University. We've got some amazing artists that are teaching at Wits. We've got Spelelo Masubuko that's playing drums with me, Marcus Wyatt that's playing trumpet, he's here as well. Benjamin Jefter is teaching here. We've got really a fantastic David Cousins, the pianist. Some great musicians that are teaching here. Lindiwe
Sure.
Matsola teaching voice. Chantal Willie, she's teaching voice as well. So their collaboration works that Vuma brings one of his compositions, then they play it, and then the Swiss musician brings one of his compositions, then they play it. So his concert is made up of lots of different compositions brought to the table by those two musicians. So I would see it like this: you're sitting at a table, and everybody's brought. You're going to have sort of a table of lots of different foods. They've each contributed to the different table of the foods. Cooked. So Vuma Levine has cooked some food, and the guitarist has cooked some food. In my gig, we've taken my spices, my foods, and we've taken
Okay.
Ziggy's spices and his foods, and we've put them
Okay.
both in the same pot.
Yeah.
Okay,
Get
and
it.
we're
I
dishing
get it.
out our food into one plate from our plot. So the two concerts are very different in that aspect, but they're both collaborations, and both
Sure.
supported by Pro Helvetia, which has been incredible
Sure.
actually.
Sure. That's an
Does
interesting
that make sense to
metaphor.
you?
It makes 100% sense. 100% sense. And it's a great metaphor for winter about soup and cooking and all the flavors in the pot and so forth. Okay, man. So
Yeah.
we were saying also the ticket prices are going for 180 and they're available at web tickets, correct?
180, and in the scheme of things today, that's not a lot of money.
No, it's not. No, it's
If you
not.
go there onto web
No,
tickets,
it's not.
just put in the different projects. Go if you look for the Seabrooke, or you look for oh, I see Vuma's concert on Fridays. His concert on Fridays at 7 p.m. My concert on
Uh,
Saturday is at 7:30.
Yeah, yeah. And to my listeners, I'll add all that details in the description box here below. And just one more question on that: is there tickets available at the door?
There will be tickets at the door, yeah.
All right, all right.
But you must remember the theatre only takes the theatre only takes 180 seats. So
So
if you
get there
do want to
early.
secure a ticket, it's always a good idea just to book before.
Yeah,
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 because
yeah.
it's not a very big theatre, but it's most gorgeous, beautiful. It's very intimate theatre.
Uh, yeah, yeah. No, no, no. Carlo, thank you very much, man, for coming through, my brother. Explaining your processes was very, very interesting. And the difference between composing music and creating music was
Okay.
dope, dope. I will put this episode out before Friday for sure. I'll promote it on my channels, and then I usually chop it up into shorts a week later. So stuff like you
Okay,
explaining your
lekker.
process and stuff like that, so people can consume it months and months and months later. And to my listeners, it's available at web tickets if you didn't get it. It's 180 at the door. It's at Sunbrook's uh, Seabrook Center at Wits.
Yeah,
It's
it's
coming.
the concerts, both concerts are at the Chris Seabrooke Music Hall, Wits University, near the Wits Theatre. And
Sure.
there's safe parking. You go in the boom, and you on Wits campus. It's
Yeah.
actually a beautiful space.
My brother, thank you very much for coming through, man. Enjoy the rest of your day. All the best for the show, and I will let you
Okay,
know as soon as
thank
the
you.
episode is up and live. Nah? Cheers, my brother. Thanks, man. Thanks, Carlo. Bye bye.
Lekker. Okay, ciao, bye bye.